Welcome back to the Blindsiders. I am Ben, joined here by Dylan and Brian to talk about episode number 2 of Survivor 48. And I thought this was a pretty decent episode. We got some good character moments to talk about, and I thought we were, kind of looking down the barrel of a potential, straightforward, tribal council and boot. But we end up with a blindside as well. So I think we got like a lot to talk about.
Yes, this is my cozy episode as I'm wearing my robe. And my hair is not done. I also recently just discovered the background filter for this, so you'll see me changing this as the podcast goes on. I'm trying to currently upload a Survivor background. It's not working too great. I do have a green screen somewhere, so it's kind of funny, this random shelf popping up behind my head. But I'm in my nice cozy Aspen home right now. I guess that's what we'll call this. Good episode. Not a great episode. I actually found the beginning a little boring for my own taste. But I think everything kind of, once we got right before the challenge, and then obviously everything after the challenge was pretty good. I've had a little bit to kind of sit on the outcome of this episode too, and I enjoyed it. I think once again we have a really good cast of characters, really good casting done this season. I'm really enjoying a lot of people, and I have found myself slowly becoming a fan of Say, and we will get into that.
Yeah, I think Say is an important part of this cast configuration. I think the best case, and sorry, Kevin, but the best case for entertainment was Mary and Say both somehow staying this episode, and that's what happened. So I'm pretty happy with how things turned out, and it's especially funny because coming into this episode I was like, oh, Kevin's like playing pretty good. He's in a solid spot, and then it just all went downhill. So how fast can it go downhill in modern Survivor, huh?
Yeah, no, I've seen like some Keyshawn comparisons to like kind of what we saw last season. I think that's like, it's not completely out of left field, I would say, in terms of somebody kind of overestimating their social, like their kind of social positioning, and like the level of kind of relationship and trust that they've had with other players, and kind of over leveraging that on the strategic front, and then everyone being like, man, this guy's kind of a little bit snaky. Like, he's kind of playing, harder than I thought he was. And then being like, do you really care for, if we go after him? And we're like, no, I really don't really care either way. So, yeah, I think that's kind of like maybe a little bit of a lesson to be taken from both Keyshawn and then also now Kevin, is like, you really, really have to lock down those social bonds with people before you can kind of make a move like this. Like, I think somebody like Say could get away with it, and then like also like Rome last season could get away with it because they had idols and advantages, and that kind of like gives you a little bit of a cushion to play more, more off the wall, more aggressively, to try to make moves like Kevin was trying to make. Without necessarily having those social bonds being completely, tight, because you basically be governing through fear as opposed to governing through love and adoration and trust. So that's kind of my takeaway, I guess, from this episode and from like kind of recent developments in Survivor.
Yeah, and so I want to put something out there, which it's probably antithetical to one, what Jeff kind of portrays the small tribe format to being, where it's like more strategic, more difficult, but two, just like, very anti the modern style of Survivor. But I think in this new era, it's really taught me like all these fancy shiny things are just distractions. The basics are the best in Survivor. There's so little wiggle room that you need to like spend the pre-merge basically building your reliability and your social bonds and like trying to be snaky or like unexpected early. Well, it's really fun for us as viewers. And like, yeah, if Kevin had pulled this off, that would have been very fun. Just like it was very fun that Kevin got gut. But I think if you're a player going into this game, you just got to spend the pre-merge being like as even keeled and like reliable as humanly possible.
So for those watching on the YouTube, I have figured out my background photo situation. I'm very happy with it. I actually
Nicaragua, maybe.
Sure.
Oh no, that's the Survivor. That's the one with the bat. So was that 42?
Yeah.
43?
It might be. I will set up my green screen next week, so the floating multimedia shelf at Tribal will not be showing, but I'm going to keep it for this one because it's funny.
Game Changers, the giant ship.
We'll have to get you one, Ben.
Yeah, I have to think which Tribal Council said I would like. You know,
I didn't really put too much thought. This is the first one I was able to save as a JPEG, so that was that's how.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's our tangent for the week. I agree. It's funny too because I am in the process of watching the second half of Africa, and you know, a game like that back then, it was so important. First impressions, and you know, the smallest thing you could be going home for because one, people really hadn't figured out the game yet fully, and two, it was kind of more of a I want to keep people around that I like, and less of I want to keep people around that I think will get me the furthest. Where these days, obviously, you know, it's become kind of just part of the game where we're going to get one or two players that are overplaying early. I mean, honestly, maybe I wasn't fully properly paying attention to this episode because I wasn't necessarily reading Kevin as overplaying, but when I rewatched it again today, I definitely did get that. And I think it's kind of blinded by Say kind of being like the obvious, you know, like villain, if you want to call her that, for that tribe at the moment. Once again, the villains between original Survivor and current Survivor are two very, very different things. But yeah, Kevin seems like he was the prototype to be a player that could go far. But I think, I don't know. I think this current Survivor is so tough based on what you should do early. It just really seems like it's more beneficial to make people like you and then to kind of sit back and let other people think they're in charge for as long as possible. And clearly that's working. That's working for Pizza Boy. I'm going to forget his name. I'm not going to call him Pizza Boy. For Justin, you know, Cedric, I generally believe Cedric is loyal to Say at this point. You know, he made the comparison that, you know, she reminds him of his daughter. So we have those. Would this be our first potential, you know, fake father, fake daughter show off between them and Ava and Joe? That would be kind of a little interesting showdown. Yeah, I agree. This tribe is a mess, but they're entertaining. Say is kind of turned into a little bit of a chaos cast for us, which I think the show really did need. And I honestly find myself rooting for her. I think that she's someone that can very easily get booted pretty much right away at a merge. And same thing for Mary too. I really liked Mary chirping back. That's something I feel like we have not gotten really at all, is two people chirping back and forth together. So I do love that, and I want to keep that together as long as possible. So as much as I hated the Kevin vote off originally, I understand it now, and also I think game wise as a viewer, I'm glad that's the way it went. And also, did you see the dive? I didn't catch that the first time I watched it. His dive after the challenge, worst dive in Survivor history. Mm-hmm. That was the nail in the coffin.
Had to be just like icing on the cake of humiliation for Kevin last night. Like, why did they show that? God damn it! They know I'm getting voted off. Do they have to do that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that, like, for me, while I was watching, I could feel a lot of red flags that Kevin's plan wasn't going to work, but my expectation was that it was just going to like end up falling on Mary. And I didn't see it coming necessarily until like pretty late in the episode that it was going to, you know, bounce back onto Kevin. And I think, like, looking back, especially at a lot of the conversations involving Kevin, kind of talking at Cedric as opposed to like them seemingly going back and forth, it definitely felt more like he wasn't really trying to convince Cedric that this was the right thing to do. It was more like him telling Cedric that it was the right thing to do, and like it just expecting that Cedric would kind of, you know, immediately agree with him without really like any, you know, any kind of actual social manipulation. And I don't know if that was a misread by him for like not seeing that like Cedric is closer to Say than he is to him, or like I don't know where that kind of like went wrong, because for me it seemed very clear that this was a good move for Cedric to ultimately go and kind of snitch him out to Say, especially looking at what the tribe configuration would have looked like with Say gone and what it looks like now with, you know, Kevin gone, or what it could look like with Mary gone. Like Cedric is in a much better spot here than he would have been if Say left. So like I think it's like it's very odd for me that I think Kevin just kind of got blinders on to both Cedric's personal relationships and like Cedric's, you know, what Cedric would selfishly want from a positioning perspective, because like neither really makes sense for Cedric to do what Kevin wanted there.
I also think the Cedric Say relationship is also, I think they need each other clearly, because if Say didn't have Cedric here, she was gone. So I think that's another kind of credit is due to Say, where she formed those relationships early. I mean, I don't know if Justin is necessarily super loyal to Say, where I think he's more loyal to just playing probably the better move. And once again, I kind of did a complete 180. I didn't love the move for Justin at first. It just seems like he doesn't really have a plan, but I think that he is smartly just playing survival. And I think also it's clear to them they're probably not going to win any of these challenges. And so survive until this swap, and then, you know, I'll take it. I can figure it out from there. I do get that, especially in the Survivor game. I mean, I like the Say and Cedric duo. I do. I think it's an interesting. I think having these two older males helping younger females this season, I think it's like a dynamic we don't always get. You know, it's at least not one that seems successful. So it would be fun to watch that play out, obviously, because, you know, we get a little bit of trouble for Eva in this episode too. And I think that we'll see kind of how that relationship can navigate that. There, even though not too much has happened so far this season, there are like a lot of storylines that are set up at this point that could be very, very intriguing to watch. My one concern though is that we get that swap and it kind of washes all those away, and then, you know, we're back to ground zero when we get to the merge, and it's kind of, I feel like we lose a bit of storytelling. That's why I'm not always I think kind of to go back to the three tribes. I think that's another negative to it too, is you're almost guaranteed a forced swap, you know, at a certain point, rather than just letting the two tribes duke it out until it's time for a full merge.
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, they haven't done the swap very much in the new era, but I think production did such a maybe potentially an intentional job of stacking these tribes in an uneven way that it was like very obvious, I think, to all of us and probably everyone watching the second, like we saw the tribe configurations, is like the green tribe's going to be the worst tribe. They're going to lose a lot, and they're losing a lot. So I think there'll be a swap out of like necessity, just because it's like, okay, well, this is going to be boring, kind of like Lulu, where they swapped because, yeah, that tribe was never winning a challenge. And I think, you know, Justin doesn't really have a number one on that tribe. Maybe he thought it was Kevin, and then Kevin was trying some sneaky shit, and then he was willing to cut him. So I do think it's like, well, this is kind of like the optimal move, because we win a challenge. Okay, I can potentially get swapped with Mary and be like, Mary, I helped save you. Or we win a challenge and we make the merge with 4, you know, same thing. Or we lose another challenge, we just vote Mary off, and then I'm good with both of my tribe mates who are still here, because, you know, I went with them. So I think that's what he was probably thinking, but I do wish we got a little bit more from his perspective there.
Yep, I do think it would be helpful to like get, it's hard because I think that I think why they didn't show us more of his perspective was because they were trying to like obscure this blind side for the audience a little bit more, and like they gave us like just enough to explain how Kevin ends up getting voted out here, but like not enough to actually explain like some of the rationale for somebody like yes. Like you could understand the rationale for like Cedric kind of implicitly, but yeah, there is some missing explanation there in terms of like Justin's rationale. I think it would be nice to like open episode 3 in like kind of that first segment for him to like give a confessional kind of explaining his strategic decision making across both of these first 2 rounds. I think like it is seemingly being deliberately obscured as a way to help, not give away who's getting eliminated. Yeah, I mean, to me, actually, I don't actually think the Vulu tribe is the most. I think they're right now the least interesting tribe for me. And maybe it's just because we've seen them so much for 2 episodes in a row now, and also like at this point the dynamics seem kind of like relatively locked in. Like I know there's everyone's like, oh, maybe Say and Mary will work together. Say and Mary are not working together, right? Like that's not happening. Like, and we've also seen like so much setup from both of the other 2 tribes, especially after this episode, that like I want to see one of those 2 tribes go to a tribal council now. Like I don't want to see Vulu go to a 3rd tribal council. I think that would be boring, right? Like the options are basically like Mary finds the idol and like maybe she can make a play with it, and that would be pretty fun probably, or Mary is getting voted out. Like I don't think anything different is happening. I would much rather see either of the other 2 tribes go.
Yeah, agreed. I just don't think it's gonna happen.
No, it's hard. I mean, like, yeah, it's rough. Because like in the first episode, both of those challenges, it seemed like Vulu and Siva were kind of like, it could have gone either way for who came in second and who came in third. But like after this episode, it was like, no, that like they were like by far the worst tribe, like not even close. The other 2 tribes were like, neck and neck fighting for first, and Vulu is just like not even in the same universe.
Yeah, and I do think Kevin probably their most athletic
yeah, 100%.
Well, it's gonna be rough next episode.
Yeah, and we talk about like, especially with these small tribes, just the momentum that comes with like both winning and also being able to sit players out. It just like makes it a lot easier to feel like a stronger challenge squad, especially when you have Vulu voting out somebody like Kevin. It's rough.
Yeah, I think we pretty much covered Vulu. Which of the 2 tribes is the most interesting to you? Then we can kind of start there.
I think Logi is more interesting, but because I think that their strategic kind of configuration is like less cut and dried, whereas Siva, like it's kind of a very clear 4-2, which could be interesting if like that ever breaks up. I think like I think there's definitely stuff that could come out of that, especially now with like Mitch having his the block of vote. I think he got like maybe something could happen there, but for me, Logi is the most interesting tribe that has been across 2 episodes. I don't know if you agree or disagree.
I feel pretty much the same about both of the other tribes. Honestly, I'm forgetting the names. Because like I said, I like that Joe Eva dynamic, and I think kind of now everything being set up with Star and Eva, and Thomas kind of showing signs of being a bit chaotic. I think both sides are interesting for different reasons. I really enjoyed kind of the montage they did of the other tribe though, with Mitch, when they were all talking about like was like the God humblings or whatever it was, like the body humblings, and them asking Mitch what his was and him saying his stutter. That was great. I thought it was a very, very sweet moment too. And Jeff, like kind of asked Mitch what his preference is of whether people finish the sentence for him or just wait it out. And that's like, honestly, something I've never really thought about before. Cause I think, when people are around people that stutter, if you're not used to it, it can be very uncomfortable. And you're also kind of sitting there wondering, like, do I just let him struggle and wait it out or help him finish the sentence? And I thought that was really nice, him asking, because me at home too, I was like kind of thinking to myself, like, all right, like someone help this guy out. And then he said that. So I thought that was great. I think, on like human levels, there's a lot of interesting stuff there too. And I said this last week, I feel like we have way more like human players rather than like these super fan robots that we've been getting a little bit in the past. And I think that that's nice. But I know I think more time spent with both of these tribes will benefit us for sure. Because I think what we've seen with Green so far is kind of what we're getting. And although I do enjoy it, it can become stale very fast.
Yeah, I think it's the 90-minute episodes that like the 90-minute episodes and the fact that like the first half of the new era, they were like, we have to have a journey every episode. We have to, include idol stuff. And it just kind of like stripped all the opportunities for scenes like when they're talking about the God humblings. There's no place for that in those types of seasons with such a limited runtime. So I'm sure the people were great, but they just got stripped down to their like, what is their strategy each episode,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very interesting to me that we have this scene that like we didn't get much from Charity in episode 1, but I felt like Charity in this episode was like really like likable and like it was kind of a weird kind of discrepancy between her and this like this social scene with the tribe seeming to be kind of likable and sociable, but then later when they're split into 4-2 after the journey happens and Mitch comes back and they're all like, yeah, I mean, we all like Mitch, but he's so close with Charity, that fucking horrible piece of shit Charity. And I'm like, we've seen like very little from like, whoa, like other than her like very mildly throwing out Kyle's name as potentially having an advantage from the first journey. Like we haven't really seen anything as to why Charity is so socially outcast.
Well, another player that I think I'm going to enjoy a little bit more down the road, and I feel like she's going to go far, is Camilla.
Mm-hmm.
And those seeds were kind of planted by her just for the sake of being chaotic, which I love. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I do feel like looking at that tribe, Charity does seem like if they go to tribal, she very well is going to be the first one to go.
Yeah.
I am like, and maybe I'm misreading it. It doesn't really seem like there's like a strong, like core alliance here in the sense that like I don't know if like three of the 6 are stronger than like any of the other 3 in terms of alliance. Like it seems like Chrissy, Camilla, Kyle, Mitch, David are all like locked in just for the sake of getting Charity, like you said. Maybe I'm misreading that. I don't know how you guys read that, but that's like, fingers crossed. Do I get my final like strong alliance heading into a merge or something like that? That'd be nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like a clear 4-2 with like Mitch and Charity on the outs, right? Like, it seems like they like Mitch more personally, and they also think Charity is a bigger threat, which is probably why she's a target. Which I think I agree. Like, I would say anybody is a bigger threat than the guy who happily comes back from a journey after winning an advantage and tells the entire tribe. That's just I don't know about that one. Like, I like Mitch as a character, and like he's a very likable dude, but like that's I don't know about that.
Yeah, that was an interesting move. I would have done what Thomas did personally, and said, I just didn't play. I just, I have my vote, and I didn't play. Because I do also think like there are a lot of times where that is kind of a good move, depending on where you are. If you're given the option, of course they weren't, but they don't have to know that. Its journey changes rules every time, it seems. So
there's no reason. There's no reason not to go with that. For better or for worse, there's just no reason not to.
Yeah, as long as you have your vote. It's fine.
To be clear, and this I was confused, they had to do this though, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Because that's what Thomas said though. He's like, you guys want to do it? Like I don't know if he just meant like, hey, are you ready to go out there and do whatever? He meant like, hey, you guys actually got to do it.
Yeah, I think he meant like, you guys ready? Versus like, do you guys want to? Unless they had it out that we weren't shown, but it didn't seem like they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the biggest thing coming out of this tribe was Camilla Kyle duo. That was very fun.
Yeah.
Camilla, self-proclaimed brain nerd, someone who probably would get along with us on a podcast talking about the nuances of strategy / playing Valorant, right? That's what she plays.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kyle being, the brawn of the relationship. It's good, it's Steve and JT. It's fun.
Yeah, she's a 31-year-old software engineer who likes games and puzzles. Yeah,
exactly. Like, it's so funny. Yeah, it's such a good point. But I think she's just been a real standout of the season so far.
Oh yeah,
someone like I'm really rooting for, and I think can go far based on how she's positioned herself so far.
I agree. No, I think Camille. I think as Dylan said, like the reason that charity seems to be so socially excluded, it at least what we've been told on the show is 100% because of seeds that Camilla has planted to put herself socially and strategically in a better spot. Like I agree. I think Camilla at this point is at least being sold to us as one of the top 3 players on the season right now.
Agreed. Well, I guess do we want to talk about the Purple Tribe? What are they again?
Yeah, Loggy. Yeah, I think we could talk about because I think that this to me again it seems like a lot of setup for stuff that might matter, that might not matter. Like Loggy might never lose a challenge, as we've said last week. This might be just really long-term building for maybe the merge. But yeah, Star. Firstly, the first thing we really get from her is Eva is going to suggest in the group setting that she should sit out the immunity challenge, which she does end up doing. And that kind of sets off alarm bells for Star, like, hey, Eva doesn't fuck with me, basically. And I have no relationship with her. Maybe I might be on the bottom. I'm not strategizing and socializing as much as I maybe should have been. Let me go run into the woods and try to find an idol, which she does. She finds the beware advantage.
Yeah, I wish she hadn't told anyone about it, but it's tough for people in the new era.
It's also hard because I can't fault anybody that hard, because all 3 tribes, the person who finds it, they end up telling people because they're like, yeah, I don't know if I can solve this by myself.
Gotta believe in yourself more. I feel like.
Yeah. I do like that the Cryptex kind of puzzle is very similar on all of the tribes, but there's a slight difference in each one. So on one, they just straight up give you the letters, but they're under these coils of rope. And the other one, there's an image manipulation thing where the letters are spelled out in a window in a piece of paper. And then the other one, it's you have to get the color and then index into the name of the bird or whatever. I think it's really interesting. I think it's also fun that all of them gave the same 6 sets, 6 letters, but a different word. So we've got enlist and listen so far. Presumably the answer to stars is going to be silent. That's the one that makes the most sense. So I like it. I think it's clever. I think it's as a puzzle guy, I think it's clever.
Sorry, those at home, I watching. I don't mean to be incredibly distracted this episode, but it's I'm like the Three Stooges. It's one thing after another is
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I am riding the ship until the hull breaks open with these headphones. So once they die, you see my screen cut to black. It's because I'm sprinting out to my car to get my other ones.
Oh man. But yeah, no, I agree. It is super interesting. I do think, in fairness, Stars is probably the most difficult one.
Yeah.
With the Orange Tribes being the easiest one because they're just straight up the letters right there. So I get it. I just wish she hadn't, and it's probably more wish because she seems like she's in such a bad position. Just felt really bad for her this episode where she just has nowhere to turn, no friends, nobody's really like wanting to play with her that much. I did appreciate Thomas really being like an outward villain about this. That was fun.
Mhm.
Like,
That was fun.
I don't think it's gonna happen what he suggested, but like
Mhm.
I did think it was fun that he suggested it.
Yeah, it was also what I thought of immediately. I was like, if you really want to sabotage her, you'd fucking throw it in the fire.
Yeah.
I'm sure they're probably just showing it just to add in a little like. But is it Shaheen? Is that how you say it?
Mm-hmm.
That would be fun if that's like what happens and Thomas tosses it in the fire. That'd be interesting.
I don't think Shaheen's going to do that.
No, he for sure is
Thomas
not. But
would do it.
I wonder if they show that. Hopefully to lead us somewhere rather than just to kind of. But there's something that they show us things seemingly now that eventually have to mean something. That's like that. I would say most of the things we see eventually lead into something else. Compared where before, I feel like we talked about 60 Minutes episodes wasting a lot of time doing dumb stuff or like just strategy that didn't really mean a whole lot. I do feel like maybe this is the beginning of Thomas's chaotic villain arc. That'd be great. It'd be great to have more players like him and Say on this season. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean, I'd feel really bad for Star, but once again, it's really the importance of getting there and establishing relationships early. And they made a point to show them going off and looking for idols early on in that first episode. So once again, I think they show everything for a reason. Maybe that's just it's going to be why Star doesn't have those connections. And I think a lot gets lost with Eva and her autism too, which obviously Star doesn't know about, right? I don't think that they told that to the whole tribe. So, if you've ever had a conversation with an autistic person, no matter where on the spectrum they are, sometimes they say things that may come off as like aggressive or strange to you that you can read it. But Star is someone that I unfortunately don't see going very far. I would love for her to, take advantage of this advantage and figure it out, but it just does not seem like it seems like more so the focus was on her telling the rest of the tribe about the advantage and them kind of dealing with that rather than the advantage itself. So I don't think that Star's days are necessarily going to be very long in this island either.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like we got like the way it was framed was I wouldn't say like full like dodo music with Star, but like it was definitely framed in a way where it made it look like Star was kind of the butt of the joke, or like was like kind of openly making a mistake by sharing it with so many people. Like it definitely did not come across like this is going to be a saving grace for Star to like get back into it. It almost felt like both her and the idol were like a prop in the like larger kind of power struggle of the majority alliance on the tribe, as opposed to actually being about her. I don't know if you guys felt the same way, but like, yeah, I agree. I think this was like more kind of just exposing, that Thomas is like, going to be playing a little like kind of, harder, snaky potentially, that like, Joe is going to have to really kind of struggle with lying to people and with prioritizing his relationships. And like, Shaheen's going to try to say like, okay, am I going to like actively, like how hard am I going to play this? Right. You even see like a little bit of the Thomas and Bianca relationship, and we didn't get a ton of from Bianca. It was like mostly kind of filtered through Thomas. So Yeah.
I honestly forgot Bianca was in this game until I scrolled through the cast photo before doing it.
Yeah, I definitely think she's the person we've seen the least from. Yeah.
Not looking good for
Yeah,
me.
you should have stuck with Thomas, I guess, Brian. Sorry I talked you out of that one.
It's all right. It's all right. I'll be fine. There's this small possibility that he'll get clipped as the bigger target of the two first, and I'll be like, well,
Mm-hmm.
I made the better decision technically.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Overall, who do you think had like the best episode in terms of like advancing their game overall?
I think Camilla
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah.
Kyle. I think, either one of them.
Yeah, I think that the Camilla Kyle, like that definitely feels the strongest. I mean, from like a case of like looking at Vulu, I think Cedric is in the best spot. Looking at Loggy, I still think Joe is in the best spot. And I think that Joe realizing that everybody but Eva knew about the idol and being like, okay, I need to like make a proactive effort here to like tell Eva and be like, hey, Star has the aware advantage. She hasn't opened it yet. Everybody but because she thinks that everybody in the tribe is against you, but that's not the case. Everybody's still against her. But just kind of giving her a heads up. I thought that was good, and it definitely shows. I think that Joe's allegiance is still to Eva first and foremost. It also probably shows that like if Star does not. If Loggy loses before Star figures out the solution to the puzzle, she's still probably going to be going home.
Yeah. Cedric is my other one. Like you said, I think Cedric's in a very good spot. I think if we get this inevitable swap that we do if they keep losing, I think Cedric will be one of the ones standing there. I think Mary's dead in the water. If you pick our loser of the week, unfortunately, I think it's still Mary. I think Mary is just. I don't think she's going to have the ability to go anywhere. I don't know what would benefit Justin, like flipping that at this point, and clearly Cedric's not going to. So, best thing Mary can hope for is winning. Is winning immunity and riding it out,
which is not happening. She needs to find the idol. That's her only out at this point, I think.
Which I didn't watch the preview for next week. I assume there's going to be a mad dash on that island because it's been talked about on camera several times of that other idol being out there as soon as this one's flushed, which is another reason why I give Cedric the credit, because it's not like Cedric went and then warned Say after the fact of like, hey, actually, we're all going to vote for Kevin now, so maybe we just don't play it.
Yeah, right.
This was, he still flushed out that idol, even though he's loyal to Say. Cedric, not the greatest physical challenge player, and I don't even know if he's actually the best strategic player, but I think he's playing smart right now. He hasn't made the wrong move yet. I guess if we're each awarding one, I'll give mine to Cedric.
Yeah, it would be a real unseen like series of events that would get Cedric out before the at least swap, if not before a merge.
Oh, I feel like it only happens if Say kind of goes just nuclear and crazy, and
it would be something
we have to vote this person off.
Why would this happen? Like, I just can't see it.
Yeah,
it won't happen. I just can't see it now.
I also think that maybe like there's like a very outside possibility. Say like Mary does find the idol and she doesn't tell anybody about it. Like I think the immediate inclination would be for her to use it to take out Say, but I think the smarter move would be for her to use it to take out Cedric, because I think that like that probably would make it easier for her to pull Justin in against Say than like if she used it against Say. Like I think that Justin and Cedric probably are still a duo against her.
That's a really good point. I think I guess we'll see.
So I think that's like the only out I see for Cedric not making the merge at this point, though.
I think something about Mary tells me there's going to be a lot of emotion if she gets that idol to play that. And I think that Say is going.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Mm-hmm.
Very fun that she survived this one, though.
Yeah. No, I do agree with both of you that this was like that Kevin going was like sad on paper, like because like, I think a lot of people really saw, potential in him. But from an entertainment perspective, I think both Mary and Say staying in is good.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, people very mean online about the dive to Kevin, and then also, I guess he was first boot on a Bear Grylls reality show, and then he was second boot on this show. So people are having a lot of fun at his expense for that.
If he keeps playing, he'll eventually win. On that,
play 18 times. Sign up for the challenge, Kevin. It doesn't seem like there's a limit for how many times you can play that.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to add before we get on out of here?
No, I think this is a pretty straightforward episode in terms of things we talked about. I think once again, a good bridge episode, I guess if we can call that, kind of ushering us in. I'm still captivated. I'm still sitting down enjoying Survivor each week, which is great. 3 seasons ago, maybe I don't think I really was saying the same. It was becoming a chore to watch Survivor, and that flip to 90 minutes just really turned everything around. And I know we talk about it so much, but I am, and once again, I think casting's done great. Production's just been really, really good. Even watching older Survivor now, because I've committed to rewatching Survivor from season 1 all the way through. I'm going to go to Winners at War, and then I'm going to stop. I don't really feel the need to rewatch some of the modern Survivor, new era Survivor. But yeah, man, like even Africa is so fun. And, Bennett told me it's one of his favorite earlier seasons. And a lot of people on the Reddit are not necessarily always so high on Africa, but I am having 10 times more fun with it than I did Outback, kind of like I told you guys in our text chat. I think once you get out of Outback and you realize just how corporate and like straight edge Outback was compared to like everything else that we love about Survivor, I definitely put Outback towards the bottom of the seasons I've watched recently in terms of enjoyment. But I'm loving Africa. They do so many things different, but I think that Survivor's done a really good job now of, this is the game Survivor Jeff and Survivor production crew want to play now. It's very clear. They kind of want this templated format, and they're kind of letting the cast members work around it, where before, we had a lot of really fun loops. Like I said, the trip to the village is great, all that side stuff, but we're stuck in Fiji. We're not going anywhere from Fiji seemingly anytime soon. I'm going to have to assume no matter what, season 50 will be in Fiji. I don't know why they would do that twist and marine anywhere else. And so I get why we don't have that much outside stuff, but I rewatching the history of Survivor, it's kind of like loving World War II. I wasn't there for it, but I'm really enjoying all these documentaries about it. The World War II, like history, not like, the death and carnage and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
And it adds a lot of light of like how you got to, once again, in history, it's cliche. It's like you look to the past to figure out how to correct the future. I think that you see a lot of what went wrong, what went right with early Survivor based into what they do now. And I do wish we had a little bit more variations with things, but I am as in love with Survivor now as I have been. And I think that, like I said, they're just doing a really good job of they modified this game. They changed a lot of things that didn't work. And obviously now we have this fun voting, which I did not look to see if there was new voting. Actually, I did not look to see if there was any new voting. I thought it was like every week, but apparently not. And I think that's really a good thing. I think season 50 is going to be a really, really big season for Survivor. I think the closer we get and the more we engage with it, I think season 50 is going to kind of be I think it's going to be a really big deal. And I assume they're going to go all out for marketing and all that. And so I'm like I said, I'm as excited now for Survivor as I've ever been.
Well, as you're doing your full kind of show watch/rewatch, like there is a player from Marquesas that is like being heavily rumored to be on season 50. So it might maybe useful for you.
Do you want to say?
Well, I don't know if I want to spoil like that player is big on the season for Dylan before he watches it, because I don't think Dylan knows anything about Marquesas other than like it's Boston Rob's first season.
That's season 4, correct?
Yes.
So I will be walking. Yeah, hold it, save it, because honestly,
text me
for Brian, if he doesn't know, it's the 5th place player.
By the time we come back here next week, I will be started that season. So
Yes.
That would be great if the 5th place player
Yes.
was on it.
Definitely
overdue.
Yeah, a person that has been clamored for a return like since like for years and never came back. So
that would beat once again, I'm a big Survivor World War II history buff here. That would beat Wigglesworth and Ethan for the longest gap in between first playing and playing again.
It would be, yeah. Yep.
Hey.
It would, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it would be very interesting if I am so here for it. It is definitely a name where it's like people have always been like, this person should come back, and then they just never brought them back. So that'd be awesome.
Yeah, 46 season gap as opposed to both. I guess Ethan and Amber were tied. If you include their all stars, right? It would have been a 32 season gap. So it's a huge difference. 46 seasons. That's like literally almost the entire 25-year run of the show.
I wonder if the history books are counting Ethan going out. I'm assuming it's like actual days since like being in the game, maybe because I guess that's what they count. They count Ethan because he got voted out of All Stars and never won. That's what they're counting. He spent like an extra 20 days or whatever fewer. No, I am.
I don't know. I mean,
it's like when you have twins and like one of them's like, yeah, I'm 12 minutes older.
It's seeing all these characters that you've heard about that like we really never saw again. That's been a lot of fun. Lex is a big one I pointed out to you guys. Heard a lot about him. This is my first time seeing him, and obviously All Stars is gonna really hit for me. I'm like now, like I'm building up to All Stars like it's live. I'm like, wow, I can't wait to get there because everything I'm plowing through it. I got this whole setup where I watch it while I work. I work at home, so I got my computer right here. I have it on the small laptop. I'm trudging through it.
Yeah,
that'll be good. It'll be fun for you, I think, to watch it. I actually don't know anyone who's like watched All Stars that way. So, other than the people who like watched it initially, just because I feel like people. Obviously, Ben and I are the exceptions because Ben and like whenever someone's like, what should I start with? I'm always just start at the first one and watch them all because you'll get to see how it grows. But I know a lot of people aren't like that, and I know a lot of people are like, "What are the best seasons? Just tell me the best seasons to watch." Yeah, I was like, "Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's the best way to watch."
That's how I originally started, which I don't regret. Because I think I threw Kagi on first because it was on Netflix. I got into it there, and then you recommended Tocantins because a big thing for me was that I wasn't vibing with the non HD, and so but now that's not a problem for me. But because Tocantins was the first HD one.
It was the second HD season, yeah.
So I think that's what pulled me in. But I agree now. I ended up because I watched season one a few years ago. I found myself skipping season one when I kind of started this whole thing. One, because season one is just such that is like a true slog for me to get through that, especially once you watch Modern Survivor. And it's interesting watching them figure it out. But once again, even jumping to Outback and then to Africa, I think the change in game is so welcome compared to that first one. And it's historic, so it's great. And I think that if you've never seen Survivor, definitely start there. I think that other like the CNN documentary about like TV in the 2000s that does like a great spot on Survivor and like its impact back then to kind of give you an idea. But no, I'm glad to kind of be into like the where Survivor is really picking up in terms of gameplay. It's a noticeable difference for me.
Yeah, no, I think it's like especially that first 8 seasons like through All Stars, like every single season you can see. New developments and how the game is evolving, like just season by season, like especially obviously with the twists as well. Like you saw like Africa, the first tribe swap, and then like Marquesas, there'll be even different kind of advancement in strategy that even beyond Africa Thailand, I think, is kind of the exception where it's like maybe like a step back. I think that's a part of why people dislike Thailand. And there's like obviously other
to the
issues.
point where there is a conspiracy theory
Yes.
that Thailand was the second season filmed, and people were like, no one's gonna like this, and they scrapped it and then went back once it was more established, which is not true. There's no way that's accurate.
It's not true, but it makes like when you have seen the season, it makes sense why that would be a conspiracy theory, because Thailand definitely doesn't feel like it fits in the like natural progression of strategy. Where like Outback definitely feels like a step up from strategy from Borneo. Africa definitely feels like a step up in strategy from Outback. Marquesas definitely feels like a step up in strategy from Africa. Amazon definitely feels like a step up in strategy from Marquesas, and Pearl Islands from Amazon, and then All Stars is like, All Stars. So like Thailand is like the one season in that progression that doesn't really fit. It isn't really like a progression of strategy. So like it makes sense. But yeah, I mean like the other 4 seasons in that run from Africa to Pearl Islands are like all top 5 to 10 seasons for me. Like Africa, Marquesas, Amazon, Pearl Islands are all incredible for me.
Yeah.
I'm surprised too, because Outback and Africa obviously not being on an island on the coast. I am surprised. I brought up before the potential of doing a cold weather season. I am surprised they weren't committed to island life at that point. Clearly, they were kind of committed to just bringing them into any kind of exotic place they could. I think that would have been interesting. I'm enjoying Africa a lot and the surroundings and all that. I think it's very, very cool. Even Outback was really cool. We didn't get too much of like the surrounding life really until towards the end, where Africa, it's like part of the game, at least early on. It's very, very cool. I'm enjoying this rewatch a lot. I'm glad I'm doing it, and I'm glad to be able to talk about it.
I'm really glad you are too. Because like I said, I always think people should watch the old ones. They're classic. They're really good. They're very different, much more of a spectacle than Survivor is now. But I think it's really wonderful. And yeah, the Thailand thing's just so funny, because I remember reading that the first time and I was like, wait, is this possible? I was like, there's no way. There's no way that this wouldn't have come out before that. I did like the idea that the reason it took so long for season 2 to happen after season 1 was because they filmed a season and it went so badly that they just scrapped it and tried again.
I mean, there's like an obvious like easy way to dismantle the like conspiracy theory. Right? There's like there's an NYPD cop who was a first responder for 9/11 on the season for Thailand. Like it couldn't have filmed before 9/11.
Yeah, it's just so funny. I love it.
That was a crazy turnaround for Outback too. They filmed October through December of 2000 and then released it end of January 2001.
Super Bowl. It was the Super Bowl, like the program that aired after the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Oh, so the Patriots? Was that the Patriots?
Yeah. Pats Rams.
I don't know. This was 01, right?
Oh, so it would have been
no. So the Patriots won. The Patriots
2002.
won.
Yeah, he was from 2002. Hold on.
They won the 2001 season in 2002. So it would have been, what was that? The Ravens and Giants then?
Yeah, Ravens and Giants. Yeah.
People would have been desperate for anything after that.
Yeah.
What was the lead in to or lead in from the Pats and Rams? Because that must have been an exciting night. That's one of the greatest Super Bowls of all time.
Yeah. I mean, let's see if I can find out what happened.
This is your tangent number 2 for everybody.
Yeah, I'll see. What was the? I don't know where I can find the. I don't know if I can find what came after that Super Bowl.
I'll find it for you real quick.
Yeah, maybe we'll look it up for next week's tangent. We'll get a list of all of the things that premiered after the Super Bowl. But yeah, no, it was a big deal. I mean, the premiere of Australian Outback, I think was I can't remember what the ratings were. I know Australian Outback as a whole was higher rated than Borneo. It was the highest rated season.
43.5 million viewers for the
Yeah.
premiere.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But I know the Borneo finale, I think, was like 50 or something. I think the Borneo finale was still the peak, but the season as a whole, Australian Outback, was much higher rated than Borneo.
That's
So
crazy, dude.
Marquesas wouldn't have premiered until about 3 weeks after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that sounds right.
It premiered February 28th, 2002.
Yeah, no, I don't think any other Survivor has been the lead after the Super Bowl.
No.
Even though they had like the opportunity with Heroes versus Villains and Survivor Karamoan, which I think both could have been like decent to get people back into it, but unfortunately, I don't see that ever happening again.
Nope.
Though it should, you know.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's fine. I think it's fine how it is. I don't know.
I think we'll get back into it.
By the time the Super Bowl ends, I kind of like usually want to go to bed. I don't want to like then stay up for another like 60 to 90 minutes to watch another episode of television.
That's fair. That's very fair. And I do wonder if it's like that big of a thing as it was.
Yeah.
Back in the day for being the lead out show.
I remember the Office episode where Dwight fakes the fire.
That was awesome. Yeah, that was so good.
I believe that was the Cardinals Steelers Super Bowl.
What a night! Also, an all-time great Super Bowl, and then an all-time great episode of The Office.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's close this thing out. I think that tangent was one of our longest, which was awesome. It was also
fun. We hit the hour mark, and we also have like less than 10 minutes here until the trailer finale comes out. So we should wrap it up.
All right, Dylan, want to plug anything? Floor is yours.
Well, please watch our trader show. Meet you at breakfast, right? Or see you at breakfast.
Meet you at breakfast.
I'm gonna remember that eventually. Trader's finale
Season
tonight.
2. Got it.
Very, very excited for it. That's it's gonna be hopefully a good night. We'll be recording tomorrow. I think that'll be a lot of fun. We should have Julia back as well, so that'll be great. So definitely follow our podcast there. Then follow me at DJ Cleverlang on Twitter, TikTok, and Twitch. Hopefully I'll stream on Twitch more. But and then obviously follow us on Wicked Good Show. We were like so close to recording an episode this week. As close as we've been.
Yeah.
As close as we've been in quite some time. But we will be recording more stuff soon. I am I have boots on the ground that has seen Mickey 17 already. I have feedback and it's not good.
No.
Wow.
So, very unfortunately, this is not a great first half of movies coming out this year, so we'll have to figure out something else to talk about. But follow us there.
Daredevil season was pretty good.
I have not watched it yet, but yep.
Could talk about that if you're into it. I don't know. Did you watch the rest of the 3 seasons on Netflix?
I did. Yeah, I just have not seen the new one. Andor, maybe. Last of Us coming out. We do have a great TV
for sure.
We have a great TV slate set for the spring. So
Last of Us, we have a show for worth fighting for. So definitely check that out. Ben, anything you want to promote?
No, I agree. I just watch if you watch the trailers, then check out our finale coverage and meet you at breakfast. I'm very excited for the finale in the next 5 minutes here, and hopefully it's good. I've very much enjoyed covering in the season, and very excited to talk about the finale. Yeah,
no, same. Should be good. And as for me, please check out the main channel. Just put out another video on Kingdom Come Deliverance, because my original plan was I'm going to make a lot of videos on different video games, and then Kingdom Come Deliverance is sunken its claws into me, and I haven't been playing anything else, which is fine. It's what I want to be doing at all moments of the day, is playing Kingdom Come. But please go check out the main channel. Also check out the Those Fake Nerds channel, where all of the Fake Nerds episodes are now on that channel. And it has like no subscribers, so it gets like no views. Kind of tough, so I'd really appreciate if you checked that out. And then Better Radio is this podcast, this network where we have all our podcasts, and Wicked Good Sports is where we have our sports podcast. So thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll see you in the next one.